Morning, Don.
Good morning, all.
Morning. How are you this morning?
Yeah, fair to middling. Yourself?
Yes, pretty good. Oh, sorry.
Good morning, councillors and staff. I'd like to welcome the gallery, and I'd also like to pass to the General Manager so he may make the announcements regarding the recording and live streaming of this meeting.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. Just in terms of protocols, this meeting is live streamed, and Council accepts no responsibility for defamatory remarks. They're resting with the individual. That's it, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. No standing, please. Almighty God, may trust and justice remain with this council in their deliberations. Amen. And so please remain standing. I would like to pay my respects and acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting, and pay my respects to elders, both past, present and future. Be seated, please. Welcome, Councillor McKinnon on the next there.
Yeah. I'd just like, Madam Mayor, with your indulgence, I might have to leave the meeting a couple of times through the meeting.
That's fine. That's fine. Thank you, Councillor McKinnon. Apologies, Mr. Casey, for leave of absence. There are none. Disclosures of interest.
I have two 12.7 and 12.8 in the closed session.
12.7 and 12.8 for Councillor. Any others?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
Yes, Councillor.
mine would be the same as Steve's.
9.5 membership of one of the groups.
And Councillor McAllister 9.5 as a member of the group. I would ask for the confirmation of the minutes of the ordinary meeting held on 21st of October 2020 to confirm the circulated.
So moved.
Councillor Noonan, Councillor Wilden, all those in favour? Carried. A recommendation that the minutes of this extraordinary meeting held on the 9th of November 2020 be confirmed as circulated. Councillor McAllister, Councillor Elstone, all in favour? Carried. We'll go to item 6, outstanding matters from previous meetings. Does anybody have any outstanding matters from the previous meetings, please?
One for good, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Sorry, I've jumped ahead.
Is that it?
I've jumped ahead to the next one.
Okay, if there are no outstanding matters, will somebody please move the recommendation?
I'll move the recommendation.
Thank you. And the seconder, Councillor Evans, Councillor Haywood, all of those in favour? Carried. Item 7.1 is the mayoral report for Mayor Heppers. And the information's in there that council notes information contained in the mayoral report.
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Moved Councillor McAllister, seconded Councillor Wilden. All those in favour? Carried. Item number 8, Internal and Risk Audit Management Committee meeting. Are there any requests on that? Yes, Councillor McAllister.
May I move the recommendation, Madam Mayor?
You may. Councillor McAllister moved. Second, please. Councillor McKinnon. All those in favour? That's carried. Number 9. Page 139. The General Manager's report. Does anybody have any questions on the General Manager?
I'll move the recommendation, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Elstone. Second to Councillor McAllister.
I thought I had something. Did have something. Yes, on page 140, if I may refer you, Madam Mayor, to the General Manager, on the 23rd of October, community consultation for James King Park equipment options. Did that include the James King Park Steering Committee?
No, it was publicly advertised where we would look at the
more about young mothers and playground equipment. So it wasn't the steering committee as such. It was Councillor Hendricks at the time called for a gathering of possible users or designers or thoughts around the future playground equipment due to the fact that we've got $50,000 grant money to expend there. So
Did it include the school? I know the school do use that.
Yeah, it was an open invitation. It wasn't selective, so it was sort of put out on Facebook and advertised for a gathering that we had at this building. So sort of specific targeted to the school. I'm sorry, again.
I guess, Madam Mayor, I'd just like to make the point that James King Park Steering Committee have not been involved in a consultation previously, and it may well be a sore point, just in case that comes up, just flagging that. And I do know that the school often use the play equipment during their phys ed classes.
Thank you, Councillor McCallum. I think the point is taken.
Thank you.
It's been moved and seconded. Those in favour? That's carried. 9.2, an all-staff meeting. Does have a recommendation.
I'll forget the recommendation, Madam Mayor.
Councillor McAllister, Councillor Haywood. Are there any questions? Councillor Noonan?
Yes, through you, Madam Mayor, to the General Manager. How long will this meeting go for?
Normally it's there until close of business on that work day.
If you've got a big agenda. What happens if it's early? They'll go home on full pay or what happens?
Staff will be paid their full hourly day.
If the day finishes early.
They won't be released until not off time.
I still don't know, well, I've seen the agenda.
Any further questions?
Will councillors be invited to the all-staff meeting?
Definitely, yes.
Any further questions? Being no further questions, somebody please move and seconded. So those in favour? Carried. 9.3, Bendigo Bank agency agreement. There is a recommendation there. There's also a table of contents of what's proposed. Does anybody have any questions on this? Somebody move.
I'll move it.
Thank you, Councillor Noonan.
Thank you.
Second, Councillor Haywood. Question, Councillor.
What time is the agency going to be open? Because the bank opens at 9:30, which is a bit bloody late, I think.
I think it's science.
The hours of operation, it'll be operated out of this building here. I assume between the standard bank hours, but we're open. This building itself is open from 9.
It's not a whole agreement, isn't it? Not going to stipulate what colour underwear you have to wear. It covers you out the body. Good idea, though. Good idea.
It's been moved, it's been seconded. Recommendation, please. So those in favour? That's carried. 9.4, a request for expanded use of the Midway Basketball Stadium.
So moved, Madam Mayor.
Councillor McAllister, Councillor Noonan. Comment, Councillor Noonan.
Any impact on other users?
Generally speaking, they've got an unwritten arrangement that if there are conflicting bookings or they give way for those, a conference or something else was booked, they would give way for those.
Are there any other questions? Been moved and seconded. Those in favour? That's carried. 9.5, AF 003 for request for financial assistance.
Madam Mayor, my conflict is with the last one. So,
I'd like to move one at a time.
did you want me to leave now and discuss the last one? Or?
I don't know, you're a thespian.
Didn't you?
Oh.
I'm sure I brought that up.
Madam Mayor, that might be the way to go. Councillor.
I'm just noticing, Madam Mayor, my apologies, that I'm a member of the South West Ward. All users, so I better go too.
Okay, we don't yet have a move on the second. So
I'll move them all, Madam Mayor.
okay, Councillor Noonan, Councillor Evans. Yes. So if we want to go through them, one that Councillor McAllister, please.
It's pretty well standard what we normally give, rebates, yeah, we're knocking back at not charging for stuff that, there's nothing there, it's only $700.
Can I just seek a point of clarification with the one for the Wentworth Public School? They're already granted $50 as part of our bodies exempts at the start of the year. With that, they just asked for $250. So do we treat that as an additional $250 to the $50 they've already given, or do we just give them an extra $200 to take it up to $250?
I think they've asked for $250.
I don't have a problem with that because what can you get for $50? It's decent. I think we should perhaps look at the minimum for every school up to $250 because $50 will get you one book, one decent book.
I'm inclined to agree because it saves schools having to come big.
Yeah. Perhaps that could be brought up as a notice of motion at some stage.
Well, we'll just include that as.
All right.
I'll put that as an option up as part of the when we do the fees and charges.
All right.
That lists as part of fees and charges next year.
Anybody else have any questions? Been moved and seconded. Those in favour? Thank you. Can we get the councillors inside that are outside?
Yes, bloody hot.
It was getting cold, so I turned you.
Turn around,
And then
all
it's gone
right.
like the opposite one, yeah. We turn the temperature up because it's getting too cold. And that 2 degrees going up is just too hot. It's hard to cool down a bit, I can feel it.
All those went through, councillors. We go to 9.6 on page 207, the monthly finance report.
I'll move the recommendation.
Second on there, Councillor McAllister. Any questions, please?
Just sort of one question. Given the fact that loans are now getting way down, still looking to get some treasury loans, some of these higher interest rates, he gets some treasury loans, they're still on the books.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for clarification from the OLG as to whether we'll be able to continue borrowing from TCOP. At the moment, we only had that 6-month exemption as part of the COVID initiative they put out. But I think we've been able to demonstrate that we meet TCOP's credit criteria, so I can't see a reason why we shouldn't be allowed to do it, but it's still got to get a formal tick off from the OLG. I have spoken to TCOP about refinancing some of those loans, and they are able to do that. We'll just need to do an analysis of each of the loans and work out what potential break costs there might be in that. But if we can borrow somewhere at around 1.5% compared to paying 4.5% or 5%, you're still going to save money even with a potential break cost in there. So when I know more, I'll undertake a bit of an analysis and come back to council with some recommendations on that. Yeah.
Thanks for that.
Mr. Rule, it's been moved and been seconded. Any other further questions? No further questions. Those in favour of recommendation? Carried. 9.7, the monthly investment report. That. Seconder, Councillor McAllister. Any questions here on the...
Just one. AMP is being chased by a bigger mob. Will that have the impact on our loans? I know this.
They've had a couple of downgrades as well from their longer term rating, so we are in the process as some of those investments come due to exit ourselves out of AMP.
Yeah, good idea. So some big mob going to take them over, and what's going to happen with it after that?
Councillor Will has a question.
Yeah, we've got grants unexpended. What's the chances of getting them finished before the end of the year?
Probably the only one that we may not get expended by the end of the year will be the library grant, which is tied in with the Civic Centre project. The rest of the other grants that are all part of our normal operational grants around the block grant, so they'll be expended by the end of the year.
Further questions on the investment report? They moved second. Sorry, Councillor Foster.
Yeah, I'm a little bit slow today. The Pooncarie Weir grant, can I just get some specifics about what that is for, please?
That was some money that was left over from when we did the weir to finalise some land tenure issues around licensing and accesses to the points of the weir, which has been a drawn out process.
And when you say when we did the weir,
So when the weir was upgraded to where it is now, there was money left over to finalise some.
in 2012 or 13 or whatever that was.
So that easement's still not completed.
As far as I'm aware, it's not through.
And the RFS grant has been sitting there since 2011. Do they not want a real company because they give it to them and let them use it?
Well, they've got to nominate what they want to spend on it. So they are trying to spend it, but
Alright.
each year they underspend it. It adds to the
All right.
it adds to the pile.
No further questions. We'll put the recommendation. Those in favour? Carried. 9.9, page 215, land acquisition for public road, / IGA service road.
I'll move this with a question, if I may.
Councillor McCarthy moved, second please. Councillor Haywood. Good question.
Just checking that it's not in there already. What approval has there been? Is this, I guess, firstly on native title land, and what consultation, if any, is required?
As part of the Just Terms Compensation Act, this was basically the start of the process, and NTS Corp has been advised of this process.
Any further questions?
If I can, Madam Mayor,
Councillor
would that be applicable to just about every grant land?
Every
Acquisition,
every land acquisition or development or whatever else is going to go through the same process.
Any further questions? Okay, moved and second. Those in favour? That's carried. 9.9, land acquisition, child extension drainage basin 4. Councillor Elstone, Councillor Evans. Any questions on this item?
Oh, no, sorry.
Sorry.
I was jumping into the vote there, Madam Mayor. Getting a bit previous, I was.
No questions. They move to second. Those in favour? Carried. 9.10, land
And
acquisition.
again, Madam Mayor.
Seconded.
Councillor Elston, Councillor Noonan. Any questions on this item? No questions. Those in favour? Carried. 9.11, disposal of riverfront parcels project. Move in a second, please. Councillor McNoonan, seconded. Oh, Councillor McKinnon. Thank you, Councillor McKinnon. Any questions on this item?
And Madam Mayor, to Matthew, so what we're basically doing is got a fixed price on those lots, is that?
Yeah, that's correct, Councillor Elstone. The current thinking is that we wanted to go to completely cost neutral to council, and we thought the best way to do that and to sweeten the deal for the disposal of these properties would be to not charge for the land and just actually do full cost recovery for our surveying and legal costs, etc.
Any further questions to the manager, the Director of Health and Planning?
I do,
Thank you, Councillor
if I
Noonan.
may.
Get ladies first.
Sorry.
Okay.
Councillor-
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McAllister.
I'm probably not clear because I haven't read it properly. I'll own that. But if you could just jog my memory about the motion in 2016, my memory doesn't extend back that far, why it needs to be rescinded. Yes.
The reason why it needs to be rescinded, the motion in 2016 was that council would do a valuation of the land and then charge that accordingly as an apportionment to the landholder.
That evaluation was done.
Yes,
I understand.
yes, that's correct. So what we want to do now is rescind that motion so we can just go to a cost neutral pricing.
So it doesn't depend on the valuation.
That's correct, yes.
Okay,
Thank you, Councillor Noonan.
Any feedback from the landholders?
We've gotten quite a bit of feedback from landholders. Some positive, some on the fence, but there hasn't been any negative feedback yet.
I would, if I can, Madam Mayor, I would imagine it would be a very good response because some of those parcels that have got less frontage, smaller areas, worked out some calculations I can recall 5 or 6 times that figure. So I would think, and
Excuse me.
I think it's very, very fair way to go about it.
Councillor McKinnon has just left the meeting at the moment. Thank you. Any further discussion? They move and second. Those in favour? Carried. 9.12, the dual market planning proposal, lot 3, DT 1216096, Third Highway, Gold.
I move the recommendation.
No. Councillor McAllister, a seconder, please. Councillor Hayward. Any discussion on this?
Not so much discussion, Madam Mayor. I'm a bit like Councillor McAllister. I like my memory jogged. What was the original dual market planning? Because it preceded this particular council. I don't remember what it was. I was on the last one. I don't recall it.
Yeah, I believe it was for a small little business precinct, like a marketplace. Yeah.
And the position.
Councillor.
Here in the low area of Karatz's land, where the olive trees used to be.
Yep.
So the concept logic was going to be a large structure for market people to come and be there. Sort of ran out of time and this is where we're at.
Councillor.
And Madam Mayor, perhaps the GM and Director of Planning, where are we up to with this flood study? Because we have had some issues in other proposed developments in relation to it not being completed.
So the draft flood study has been completed. The planners and I had a meeting with the consultant about a week or so ago, and we talked about some minor changes to that draft flood study that need to happen. They're going to be hopefully getting those this week. Once we get the final draft flood study, it needs to be publicly exhibited, and then we need to do the flood risk management plan as well. So there actually has to be the flood study, which tells us where the levels are and whatever else. We have their flood risk management plan. There's another document that comes out. We have to exhibit all those. We have to get concurrence from the department. So we're coming to the beginning of the end of the process, but there still will be a fair bit of time involved in doing that. Now, we are very anxious to get this one over the line because this will make or break any future plan proposals in the future.
I think it's very important that we get some focus on it because it's going to hinder any development at the moment.
Absolutely.
Any further questions? They move and second. Those in favour? That's carried. 9.13, development application 2021-28, swimming pool 185 Boyle Creek, road lot 1, DP 1215859 at Boyle Creek. There is recommendation. I move it, please. Councillor Wilson. Seconded, please. Councillor Evans. Any discussion on this item? No discussion.
There's no objection, sir.
Put the recommendation. Those in favour? It's carried. 9.14. Division,
Yeah.
sorry. Division. Those all in favour. 9.14 on page 243. Delegated authority approval for the end of October 2020. I move in a second, please. Thanks, Councillor Fieldstone. Councillor McAllister. There is a recommendation. Anyone with any questions? No questions. I put the motion. Those in favour? It's carried. There's also a division on this. Those in the division. All voted in favour. 9.15. Project Works Report Upgrade, November 2020. Move it, please. Councillor Hayward and Councillor Noonan. Any questions on this, Councillor McAllister?
Just wondering, should it be titled update rather than upgrade?
Not possibly right, Councillor McAllister.
Excuse me, back again.
Probably an upgraded form of report.
Thank you. Councillor McKinnon is back to return. Thank you. Welcome back. So we've got a move and a seconder. Those in favour? That's carried. Councillor McKinnon, we're now on item 10, notices of motion or questions with notice. If we go around the table, Councillor Elstone.
No, good, thanks.
Councillor McAllister.
Nothing from me, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Evans. Notices of motion or questions for notice. Thank you. Councillor Vernon.
Yes, sorry if I could, thank you, Madam Mayor. The airport fence that was a bone of contention with the aviators. Where are we at with the fence? The fence.
We had a subsequent meeting where we're asking for technical expert opinion in relation to it, and we're just waiting for that to come back around.
I'd like to thank Mr. Gunn for getting his team moving on Mr. Carlin on the Dancing Town plan. I don't know if Mr. Carlin gets credit for that. Work that started on the plan. Who wants credit for it? I now just look forward to the town tree corridor commencing.
Successes to be shared, I believe.
Councillor Hayward.
Share the
do you have
thoughts.
any notice of motion or question? Thank you. No. Councillor Wilson.
Just one, that welcome sign coming into Wentworth on the Broken Hill Road is pretty ordinary, and it hasn't lasted as long as I would have expected it to. I don't know whether we've got any comeuppance with the person that did it or not, but it needs to be renewed.
So I wholeheartedly agree on what we'll do with the new manager of tourism promotion. We'll look at signage right across because it's not the only one that's in need of some upgrade. So we'll look at trying to re-establish or upgrade or update some of those signage in each one of those suburbs.
Councillor McKinnon, do you have any notices of motion or questions with notice? Thank
No,
you.
Madam Mayor.
Thank you. No, I'm fine. Thank you. Might have been. Having said that, we'll now ask that we go into confidential business, and we'll ask Councillor Lee.
No, I'll pass the baton to Councillor McAllister. Last meeting, so a new mayor, a new confidential mover.
Madam Mayor, I'd like to move that council adjourns into closed session, recording of the meeting be suspended, members of the press and public be excluded from the closed session, and that access to the correspondence and reports relating to the items considered during the course of the closed session be withheld unless declassified by a separate resolution. And the reason being that there are some commercial confidence items.
I think those members of the public who have seen fit to attend today. Thank you.
You seconded for that.
I'll second that.
Are those in favour? And that's carried. Is the general manager for the closing part of the council meeting.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. In the closed council business this morning, council considered 10 items. Item 12.1 was the Moorpong filtered water, where it was resolved that council endorsed the proposal to proceed with the installation of a 150mm filtered water main in Moorpong, with the project to be funded jointly between the landowners and the council. Item 12.2 is plant replacement, approval of tenders for replacement of plant item 658 being a Ranger. It's resolved that council accepts the tender from Davison Ford for the supply of a 2020 Ford Ranger dual cab at a changeover price of $28,231.13. Item 12.3 is plant replacement, approval of tenders for replacement of plant item 651 and 652. It's resolved that council accepts the tenders from Davison Ford for the supply of 2 Ford Rangers with a total changeover price of $41,738.62. In relation to 12.4, plant replacement, approval of tenders for replacement of plant item 904 and 905. Resolved that council accepts the tender from Davidson Ford for the supply of one Ford Ranger 4x4 utility and one Ford Ranger, another 4x4 utility, with a total changeover price of $56,318.56. In relation to item 12.5, another plant replacement, approval of the tender for replacement of plant item 653 and 654 on the purchase of a new pool vehicle. It's resolved that council accepts the tender from Davidson Ford for the supply of 3 Ford Rangers at a total changeover price of $99,316.36. In relation to 12.6, panel contract supply of road construction material, it's resolved that the attached schedule to the report, council approves the panel contract attachment, and that'll be publicly put up on our website. In relation to 12.7, panel contract supply, building trades professional and consultation services. It's resolved that council approves the panel contract as attached to this report for the provision of building trade professional, and they'll be made publicly available on our website. 12.8 is panel contract hire of construction plant and equipment, and it's resolved that council approves the panel contract attached to this report for the provision of hire and construction of plant and equipment, and they'll be publicly available on our website. In relation to item 12.9, 12.9 is the tender PT 2021/04, the Baronga Riverfront Nature Play Area. That council in the court, it's resolved that in accordance with the provisions of the Local Government General Regulation, council accepts the tender from Oasis Unmatched Proprietary Limited and subsequently authorise the Mayor and General Manager to sign a contract documentation and affix the seal accordingly. In relation to 12.10, 12.9, 12.10 is in relation to the construction of concrete shed paths in Baronga and Golgol. It's resolved that council, in accordance with the provisions of the Local Government General Regulation, accepts the tender from Roger Bath Concrete Proprietary Limited and subsequently authorise the Mayor and General Manager to sign the contract documentation and affix the seal accordingly for a value price of $176,108 in Golgol and $137,391.25 in Baronga. And that concludes the business as we've brought it into open council.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Ross. I thank Councillor McKinnon for attending by electronic means, and goodbye, Don. Councillors, I thank you for your attendance, the directors and staff. We do have a presentation coming up later, so there will be lunch shortly. I thank the members of the public ratepayers for attending the meeting today, and I now close the council meeting. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, may I speak?
Pardon? Yes, Councillor McKinnon.
I'd just like to congratulate you on your first meeting, nice and tight, the way it should be. Thank you.
Thank you very much,
I
Councillor.
shall now disappear.
Good. See you, Don.